Welcome to the British Football Guy. We're back and we're with a new trophy for the NFL, which is following up on our trailer that we did at the beginning of the show. Uh, Welcome back, Ben. How you doing, mate?
Good. How are we doing, Ollie?
Good. It's the Euros. It's a soccer championship right now. It's what I used to
Yep.
love the summers for, and unfortunately, we didn't get it last year. So pumped that the sport's on, and timely because this is going to be a topic or a series that we're going to do on different ways that we can improve the NFL's format. And this week we're going to talk about a new trophy. We both have an idea um, that we're going to put forward to Commissioner Gordon and see what he says. And then we're going to have a Getting Paid to Poop episode on how you could replicate some kind of format like a European Championship for soccer or a World Cup in the NFL, done every 4 years.
Yep.
And then the final part of this trilogy is going to be a pro rel episode for the NFL, which for people that aren't familiar with what pro rel means, promotion and relegation format for leagues, which is quite prominent in a lot of European sports league. So only updates I was going to say before we get into the meat of this, I did email Dwayne the Rock Johnson, sorry, Commissioner Dwayne the Rock Johnson, and the and the XFL last week with our ideas on how we could take it to the UK. Still no reply, so I'll probably send a ping, maybe
Mm.
give him a quick bell.
It's just,
Um,
just missed. Mm.
he's rude. And the other thing that I was going to catch you up on, we did do a poll on the NFL UK Reddit, which was if there was a UK football team, what would you call the first one? We gave them a few options, and the winner was London Spitfires, closely followed by London Royals, and then London Bulldogs and London Jags came third and fourth, but had quite a response on that one. So London Spitfires does seem to be the prominent one. We'll see if that happens. So let's get into this trophy. So I talked about one of the issues I have with the NFL is and NBA, especially now NBA is kind of into playoff season, is if your team is not in the playoff season, you're done. You're just waiting for that next year, and you can pretty know. I would say maybe 4 or 5 games into a season, if you're not playing well, you pretty much know the season's going to end soon for you, and you're not making the playoffs. Is that fair?
Yep.
So
I mean, there's statistics out there. Like if you lose the first 2 games in a row, you have less than 20% chance of making it to the playoffs or something ridiculous. I'm just making that up
shit.
on my head, but
Wow,
it's
that
something like that.
sounds
They're
right.
Just
Opta
yeah,
stats.
it feels good. It's the AWS sponsorship. Stats coming in hot.
Oh my god, I love that. Yes, let's reference AWS every single time. So AWS says that if you lose your first 2 games in the NFL, you have 20% of making the playoffs. I didn't know that, but that's good to know. Real data
Thank
on this
Amazon.
show. uh,
No, before we get deeper, though, don't forget we do get the World Cup next year, even though the Euros were posed back a year. It also means that the next Euros are only 3 years away.
oh shit, does it?
Yes,
Wait.
because they're still calling these.
Oh shit, I see what you mean.
Euros.
Yeah, 3 years away. So that's good. And also, but World Cup for soccer is going to be in Qatar and it's going to be in the winter. So by default, that will be shit.
Yeah,
But 4 years after that, it's in the US, Mexico, and Canada. So I'm looking forward to that. And it means Canada
yeah,
qualifies.
definitely.
Um, so I think we're getting back on topic.
Sorry.
I talk about being a Cardinals fan. Other than last year, which was a fun year, it's been pretty sad for 4 or 5 years. So we want to spice this up and give the fans to cheer about. Something that we do in soccer, we have multiple trophies that you can win. In the UK, we have the Premier League, which is basically the Super Bowl. We have the FA Cup, which is a domestic cup. So every single team, even amateur team, can go into the FA Cup and play against a professional team at the end. So we have that. We have the League Cup, which is for any teams that are professional. And then There is things like the Community Shield, which is just a one-off game played by the winner of the FA Cup and the Super Bowl. Basically, every year it's more of a kind of a pre-season warm-up, and then we have European competitions. So realistically, one team could win 4 or 5 trophies a year if they.
Lot to play.
There's a lot to play for, and that's it. I think we're Man United fans. Last year we came second in the Premier League, a long way behind the winners, and also got through to a semi-final and a final, but didn't win any trophies. But interest was there till the end of the year, and overall we should have won the second tier trophy in Europe. But I mean, if that was the Champions League, I'd probably be more gutted. But anyway. Lots of opportunities to win, lots of opportunities to keep your interest until the end of the year. And as a soccer fan, we now have the European Championship. So it extends, your soccer watching for pretty much 12 months.
It's just good for the sport, right? There's just more reasons to watch it, whether it's your team or like now you've, like you said, the Euros. We're not rooting for United, right? You're rooting for whatever your country you're supporting, but it's for the sport, same sport, basically the same rules. I know VAR is a little bit different here and there, but it's the biggest thing. Like I was talking about even previously, like when we were talking about even like the expansion, it's just good for the sport. Right now, if you want to watch football, the only thing you can watch because the XFL died. Hopefully, Commissioner Johnson gets back to us on that. Is watching college football, and it's a different game. Right, it's not like watching. You guys have the Premier League, and then you have the Championship League, the one right below it. Like that's essentially like the same thing, the same rules, if not, or pretty close at least. I don't know what the VARs are, but it's the same pitches, same everything. But like for NFL, after college, you can go watch high school games, and
Right.
it's not unless you live in Texas, like where I'm at. Like nobody's going to high school games unless you're in high school or you have a kid that plays there, right?
Or you are on a register.
That's probably a good reason not to go.
So I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. One thing that I think from what we've said just in that piece is it's things how to not keep sports stale. And
yeah,
I think
true.
that's with the NFL, NBA, and so on. Not that it doesn't get exciting every year, but you can do a little bit more to keep it interesting and can even bring in more audiences. So that we're thinking you can add another trophy, a one-off trophy every year. We want to create a little bit of a discussion about this. So after the podcast, please put your ideas in to the Reddit. We also do want to have emails, and we do actually have an email address. It's it's British Football Guy @gmail.com. So any abusive emails sent to my mother-in-law's email address, don't send it to that. But do want to hear your thoughts on this, or look for us. We have a Facebook group, a Facebook page, Reddit, MySpace.
We're on Zynga still.
And so cool, Ben. So I'm going to start off and give you the honours. Please deliver your pitch to Commissioner Gordon for your new trophy.
I don't know if Commissioner Gordon really like it very much because I think I like mine better than the Super Bowl. I mean, my idea, kind of being from the American side of things and watching a lot of, Gordon doesn't like a lot of things, but watching a lot of soccer, I like the way that the draws work. I like the way Champions League's drawn. I like the excitement about it. I would like to do a draw. Obviously, it would be with all of the teams, not just the top of the teams in like the states for mine. I want to do a draw with all of the NFL teams. Get rid of the AFC, NFC. Maybe you support that because the team is associated to that in like the league, if you will. But I would like to do a draw where there is a form of group stage. Only a couple games in that, like normal, and then it goes into the knockout round. Like football on a bracket sounds amazing to me. Football on a group stage sounds even more interesting to me because we have like kind of a group stage with the small conferences, like the NFC North, East, Southwest. You already have that kind of a vibe, but like now you're playing against teams you may not play regularly. in the regular season of the NFL. And then that goes down. I don't like as far as what you want to call it. This is where I need some creative help because I was thinking very American and calling it the Freedom Cup or the
Lovely.
Freedom Bowl since we already have the Super Bowl. Yeah, but or even just like the football championship, football tournament, something like that. So it just gets that. But what I want to see is just more competition throughout the season. We've only got what was it? I talked about this earlier. We extended it to an extra week, so we're
Hmm.
17 weeks now. It's just not a lot. There's just not a lot. And this doing something like this, play it infrequently here and there. I don't know about the timings. Maybe you'd start it before the regular NFL season.
Comes
So
into
because it would take
preseason.
longer to get through group stage.
I like that.
How would you go on that? Um, teams could use it as like a secondary training camp, or they could go balls out, like on that, because obviously they're going to save their players. There's a lot of injury, what speculation, X, Y, Z. But I think like this kind of an idea excites me a lot more than just playing the boring ass regular season.
You
Because
said
I've just been
you
watching
said
it for the
go
last 10 years.
balls out. What's the difference between balls in and balls out?
Um, depends. Depends on if Commissioner Gordon really likes it or not.
Is balls out bigger than balls in? Is it like a statement? Here are my
No,
balls. Watch them raw.
I think balls in is more painful, but yet more exciting
Especially
to
if you
think
need
about.
more. God, no. All right. So sorry, Ben. So so yeah, I like kind of what you're saying here. The one thing that I didn't think about, which I really like, is preseason, extra practice squads, increase the roster size that you can have to extend. So, like you said, you've got 17 games right now. So you'd add the preseason in, which I think is terrific. Or it becomes part of your preseason. The first round or group stage
Yeah,
would take place there. It doesn't necessarily matter to your um, what's the word NFL record, but it could matter to this separate group stage where you might already have this schedule. I don't know.
mm-hmm.
Maybe flesh that out, but I love the idea of because I mean, how many preseason games are there?
I think there's 4 weeks of preseason.
Oh my god, brilliant! So, fucking preseason is boring as hell. It doesn't really tell anything about.
Well, I only if I watch a preseason, I'll only watch the third and fourth games because the third game is when some of your starters will come in and you'll start actually running plays. The fourth game is your starters will actually run a set number of predetermined plays against like a starting defense as well. See how it goes. I'll watch like the first half because they don't usually play much past that. They get the B team on, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But the preseason is pretty awful in general.
So no, I love this idea. I love this idea. I'm going to steal this part. So like
No,
without stealing
no.
anymore, and actually you came up with that part of it. I want to know when would the final be played, and what do you get for winning for the Freedom Trophy? Did you go for Freedom Cup, Freedom Balls,
The Freedom Bowl.
Freedom
Freedom
Balls or Ball?
Bowls.
The Freedom Ball.
Bowls, not balls. Well, we could do the Freedom Ball.
Oh,
The Freedom Ball. The NFL Freedom
oh, sweet, the Freedom Ball.
Ball. Ooh. Yeah.
Okay, so the Freedom Ball.
Because we're the only country that has.
When God, when would it be? When would the final be, and what do you get for winning?
I think it needs to be. You need to get rid of the final, either and replace the Pro Bowl with it, which is now a week before the Super Bowl. Maybe that's too close to Super Bowl, but I think the Super Bowl still needs to be like the championship trophy, if you will, or like the Champions League version of the trophy, whatever the highest
Yeah.
level is. So you're not taking from that, because otherwise, I think this could be the main way to do it, and then the regular season would be second tier. I just find this way more interesting to play, especially because every team could be pooled differently next season.
Mm-hmm.
Just a total, just normal pool. We'll get the same percentage on there. We'll do it with the lottery balls.
Mm-hmm.
Less complex maybe than the Champions League.
Yeah.
I can't follow the rules on that. It's just exciting to watch a little bit, but um, I think it would have to end before the regular season in the NFL, at least initially when we're doing it.
Yeah.
Um, It's like it has to maybe end by the time playoffs start, so people can focus on the playoffs in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The only
Oh,
I think yeah,
yeah.
I think actually you're absolutely right, and here where I think you're right is it has to be before the playoffs because with the idea, and I'm going to use the Jets as the example of this, because it's a lottery draw. Like anybody can face anybody. I'm trying to think who else was dog shit last year. Um, so the Jets would play
Almost.
the Jags in the first round, and
Sure.
let's say the first round starts in week 3 of preseason. The second round is week 4 of preseason. So the first 2 rounds start in that, and the
Mm-hmm.
Jets play. Who else was dog shit? Oh, any the Cowboys or Giants or Eagles or Brown.
And that's
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's say they play the Eagles. They get lucky against the Eagles. So they're now in what would be the quarterfinals, the last eight, and you then have potentially 3 games. So, but as this is going on, and you think about the Jets, they're playing shit in the NFL standings, so they know they're not going to make the playoffs. So you couldn't have them reaching all the way to the final and then having a gap between their last game and the playoffs and then playing it there. So it would have to
Yeah.
be before the playoffs. And then if you are a team that's going into the playoffs, you're going to have to think about roster management and rotation and how much emphasis you put on this. So I like a
Yeah.
lot of what you're saying. So you've got Freedom Ball and playing it before the playoffs, which makes complete sense. It could be like Christmas Day that they play it or something. Is that wait? When does the last? When is the last?
Mm,
Does it go into
pretty sure the
January?
playoffs start. I need to look at a schedule now because I was gonna say they start just after Thanksgiving. This is the Thanksgiving games. I can't remember if Christmas has the playoff games or those are the
No,
regular
it
season
can't.
games.
It's regular season because I just remember that Cards are playing in the regular season game.
That's-
So that's got to be the
Yeah,
last game. So you could always do it as like New Year's Eve, Freedom Ball
yeah.
in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, fuck it. You'd want it in New York so then you can have European viewers as well. So Freedom Ball, New York, New Year's Eve, and what would you win as a team? What would be the incentive to actually go for it?
Hmm.
You didn't think this one through, did you? This is probably why. I mean, I probably didn't give you the
Uh,
agenda.
no, it's interesting. Yeah, when you don't give me all of it. But I think there's going to be a big money factor there.
Money.
I think I don't know. Maybe Freedom Ball winners they win the coin toss for the next year in the NFL in every one of their games.
Mm.
It's
So
an
when
interesting.
you were talking tangible money, like literally coins.
Well, well Dick. No. Uh, yeah, look, we got Freedom coins. We win.
Oh my god, freedom coins. Oh,
But like that, like something unique would be interesting. Like they just automatically get the pick on if they're gonna receive every at the beginning of every game or not. They'll get obviously money for winning as well, which helps. Um, maybe like an increased cap space for a year for their roster.
how interesting. Maybe I had a similar thought. All right, so
Uh,
showing it down to 3 things you would win. So coin toss for the year, that's different.
yeah.
And definitely an advantage. 2,
Mm-hmm.
did you say increased cap space? Or
Increased caps would be interesting, but that puts other players. I don't think you have too many advantages because I mean you win the trophy, you get the rep, right? A big thing on winning an international, like you get a lot of money back to the clubs as
Mhm.
well. So I mean there'll be TV rights money because you're being able to play in the line
right,
those
right.
games.
Yep.
So
TV rights money.
the team team players, all the players are going to get their bonuses, extra bonuses, and XYZ. There's incentive from a player's perspective. I don't think you can give the team in the game more than advantage than the coin toss because it's the most random part I think of the game, other than you're trying to recover a bouncing football.
Right. Okay.
I think that's as far as I'm willing to go on that.
Okay.
Otherwise, you start playing into the mechanics of the game. Because the other team, no matter what, if you choose to receive every time, the other team then gets to receive at halftime. So you're just choosing what part in the game you're going to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's the least outcome driven. Like the Pack for a while, Mike McCarthy, every time we won the toss, we would kick the ball. We would always receive at half. Like just whatever your team has to go, you just one less thing left up to chance.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, if the team knows which way you're probably going to go, are they going to prepare for that?
They may. I mean, you get a mind game now.
Yeah. Well, cool. Look, I like that. So that's the Freedom Ball. So hear me out on this one. There's going to be obviously some similarities with this, and I've probably gone a little bit more molecular because I didn't give you the full agenda of what I was looking for. So, what it's going to be called is the Canton Cup.
Go on.
So Canton or Canton, Ohio, is where the NFL was created, right? Or in terms of the founding members met in Canton to talk about the NFL. So it has a historical piece like the Lombardi Trophy. It follows those lines, but I did think about Stars and Stripes, ball, well, not ball, or kind of cup and trophy and stuff like that. I did think of kind of, like you said, with the freedom stuff. That was on my semantic field as well. So the Canton Trophy, or Canton Cup for phonetics. Obviously, that's a very European thing to call it a cup.
Yeah.
But what I am going to steal from you, because this is one of the things that I looked at, is if you make it all the way, and again, the ultimate objective for this is to give more back to fans that aren't going to make the playoffs, that can potentially keep their interest longer. So that's ultimately what it is, and it is the same thing where it'd be a random draw. So you could have in the first round the Buccaneers play the Rams or the Saints or the Chiefs, and then you could have the Jags against the Jets, and then like we were kind of the Jets against the Eagles, and all of a sudden the one team's had this terrifically easy route, but at the end of the trophy there's a carrot big enough that they'll put more into this than they may do in the NFL game. So random draw again, so 32 teams, which potentially could give you an extra 5 games a season.
Yeah, I was just when you were saying that, I was thinking because we were ending the Freedom Ball at the NFL, but both of us were actually saying at the beginning of this we wanted to extend the sport. So I'm gonna let you keep going, but I may recant, and maybe mine will be flipped.
You're extending it
a little earlier, maybe.
You're extending it, but you're taking from, and that's why I really like your ideas. You take 2 of the preseason games. So this is how I'd modify it. The first 2 it's week 3 and 4, the preseason would become rounds 1 and 2 of the Canton Cup. So if you are, and when I'm looking at this, so the majority of teams will play 2 games extra.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, by the time it's the third round, there's only going to be 8 teams left. And even then, you could take away that extra game, that 17th game that they've added to be this round. So with that, the majority of teams aren't actually playing more. It's only like 4 teams that will probably play 1 more game than they were used to, if not 2 more games, and then the value's there to do that anyway. So I would start in weeks 3 and 4. Preseason would change to be the Canton Cup. In addition to that, what I've been thinking is what do they win? What is the carrot? And that's probably where I move a little bit away from you and add some real incentive. And as we were talking, I kind of had another idea of what we could do to make it incentive for the second team as well. So I actually played around with draft picks. And this might be highly controversial. So number 1 would be you'd get a first round draft pick, and I just selected number 20. So the winners get first round draft pick number 20. So if you are a team like the Chiefs or the Bucks, where you might be kind of at the bottom, now you've got a really valuable pick, like 20 or 16, somewhere kind of mid round where you can still get.
You're adding a draft in the first round then?
Say that again,
Because
bud.
you're not taking one away from any team.
No, you're not.
You're going to add.
Yeah.
a draft.
Yes,
You're
absolutely.
not
So
going to take it away. You're going to add a okay.
yeah, yeah. So I guess it'll be like 33 in that round. So for second place, who runners up, they'd get a second round pick for equal, but just a round later. For the winners, they'd also get 3 million extra in cap space for the next 2 years.
2 years.
So 2 or 3. I was thinking 3 originally, but I was like, if a team. I mean, I guess 3 years is a decent contract at that point for if you're looking at Julio right now going to the Titans, um, you needed a decent amount of cap space. But if you're just thinking 2 years for Julio, that
I mean,
3
you only paid
million.
him. That's 6 million. 6 million in 2 years. What did they sign him for?
Well,
You know?
that's what I mean. It's probably a lot more than that. But what I'm saying is, it might give you
Okay.
that additional funds that takes you over the edge to do that, and then it gives you another playoff drive or the Super Bowl drive. So I agree with you. I think I'd put it as as we're kind of working through it, put it as a New Year's Eve game, happens before the playoffs. Alternatively, it could be its own playoff spot if you haven't already guaranteed it.
Yep. That's an interesting idea.
Because in the Champions,
Another route into the
right? Absolutely. So in European soccer, there's now 3 different tiers of trophies. So you have the Champions League, you have the Europa League, and now they've just brought in for next season the UEFA Conference League or the Europa Conference League. But if you win the second tier, which is the Europa League, you get an automatic ticket into the top tier, the Champions League, the next year, which Villarreal, who won, finished 7th in the Spanish division, so they weren't going to make it to the Champions League, but because they won the Europa League, they're now in the Champions League. So you could almost do it as that the sport, and again, just thinking on my feet here, is if the team that wins isn't going to be in the playoffs. And again, there's some tactics in this, because I mean it'll be on the last, it'll be after the regular season, so they either get into the playoffs as a designated spot. It's probably like a wild card spot. If they're already in the playoffs, that wild card then goes to the runner up. If the runner up has already made it, then it goes to. At that point, I'd have to think about it like the team in that conference that finished third. Or there's ways around it, right? So again, if you're thinking like the Jets, they could then make the playoffs, win a trophy, and their season's it's just a lot. I'm really thinking like, how do you add excitement into this trophy? Because there are European trophies out there, in soccer where people just think we'll put our young players in. So anyway, that was my thoughts on it. And ultimately, I love the preseason idea. Starting the last 2 weeks of preseason, and ultimately, it just adds that competitive.
Yeah. You could start it sooner. I think with the draw, you've got 8 groups. You're gonna need a lot of time, and however you space these games out, as well.
Because mine would be just purely knockout. Mine would be just purely
League.
knockout. So it wouldn't be a group stage.
Yeah.
It would be just purely knockout, like just one game to make it work. And I think if you do look at soccer, we call them giant killing defeats. So like Man United might play Gillingham FC, which would be like a 4th tier team, and Man United were to play at their ground. So Gillingham wouldn't take care of their pitch or their surface, so they dug it up perfectly. So Manchester won't be able to play that slick type of passing, and then they just be very physical, and they win, and then they're playing in the next round. But I think one of the other points that you made that was brilliant was TV rights. Yeah. More games, so the further you go in, the more funds you're getting from that. Players get bonuses, so they're pumped up by it. They're also getting silverware. They're getting rings. There'll be another ring that they can win.
Yeah.
You could get
a ring. They'll get the freedom ball.
But exactly. But you know how I mean. You could get. They'd all get a separate ball.
Right.
Anyway, I think that's pretty good for what we have there. So, I know I kind of combined because you went first a little bit of yours, but we'll put a a poll out: the Canton Cup or the Freedom Ball. Um, but between us, I think there's something there. I think there's definitely something there.
Yeah, I think the only thing to tweak on that is again, well, is extending the sport. The only reason we have football right now, or soccer, sorry, is because the Euros are on. So I got to take that out of my head. But I think more games during the seasons is always going to be good. It's just about getting more interaction, right? That's going to be the biggest one for me. Something that's going to make me want to watch that.
It adds another
Because
layer
I
of
mean, I'll watch the other
strategy.
trophies. Yeah, the strategy. Like a lot of people will say that when they can't play any more games because football is a really physical sport. Blah blah blah. Okay, I hear you. Have you seen the holiday schedule in the Premier League? I don't want to hear any more fussing.
Yeah, and I think
Like
look, but
those guys are not. They don't have stops, right?
but we're extending it with the
I don't
preseason.
think there's much of a defense for. Yeah, we are. The biggest thing is that I don't take the comment that we can't add another game here and there for the NFL teams because some people will say it's just too stressful. X Y Z is like they also no.
Extend the
They
rosters.
play occasionally. They'll play a Sunday night game and a Monday night game or whatever the vice versa.
Yeah.
And you can't play a Monday and then a Thursday because obviously that is a little too soon probably for the NFL. Even though you have soccer teams that do it all over the world, other sports do it all the time, right? So I think it's totally feasible.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed this one just because I think we I know we talk a lot of shit, but I think this one is something that has a lot of value, and like I say, it always comes back to money, and I think there's such a good case
Yeah,
to make more money in terms of sponsorship and fuck it, it will be known as like the
it's the
nationwide.
NFL Super League, baby.
Yeah,
It's the NFL Super League
cool.
presented by AWS.
The AWS ball. All right, so there it is, the AWS ball. We will put a poll out and we will kind of give feedback on what people went for, or any kind of discussion on that. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, and we're going to be back with a Getting Paid to Poop episode coming up shortly, and we are going to keep this one to 10 minutes, not a 50-minute long log. But yeah, Ben, thanks, and we'll see you all soon.
See you guys.